Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond Life Paranormal Research's podcast. I'm your host, Russell Reynolds, and my guest tonight is a demonologist practicing for 40 years. She's also an author with her late husband, Kenneth Deal. She's also starred in several shows, A Haunting with her late husband, Kenneth Deal. Without further ado, let's bring on Farrah Rose Perry.
Hello. Hi. How are you guys doing tonight?
Hey, Farrah, welcome to the show.
I am so glad to be here. Thank you for getting me out of my little cocoon and my shell. You know, for those of you that know me, you know I was in an accident a couple of years ago. And Denise is here. Heidi ho, Denise. I love seeing everybody. But no, I just really appreciate you giving me the time to rest and relax and recuperate. And then just going, yes. Hi, Rosalie. Bunch of old people are here, Ross.
Oh, yeah. I recognize a lot of these names.
Athena, oh my gosh, yeah, you do. Oh my gosh, you've known me forever. So yes,
yeah.
Rosalie, oh my gosh, I wish I could see chat so I could see. But if people have questions, just shoot them at me, okay? Just interrupt me because Russell, I go like any typical woman. So just interrupt me.
Well, tell my audience a little bit about yourselves for the ones that are new to the channel that don't know who you are.
Exactly. That's always a good idea to start with. But before we do, as people are just coming into chat and, just sitting down with their chips and maybe, they're whatever they're having, tea, coffee, cocktail. How was the weather up there? Was it like almost 70 where you and Dad are? Because it was 67 here in Houston.
Yeah, we hit about 60s.
Wow. It was insane. And as you know, we're in the Ozarks here. So we can expect at any moment that summer will be over and second winter will follow. So I'm kind of glad because the nice weather means that all the little birdies are going and it's time for my garden, which I absolutely love to do. When you are a working demonologist and when you're constantly, Russell, helping other people, trying to invest in them and invest in what they need, sometimes, just playing in a pile of dirt, it's just so wonderful. Oh my gosh, it was 73 out there in Florida. We should go visit Denise.
Yeah, we should.
I'm sure Denise would love that. Like 50 people show up and start sleeping on her lawn. Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious.
We just had a party out in her yard.
Oh, I know. I don't think she'd mind. We could just pitch tents and her and Ron would just, throw us leftovers off the grill.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, Donnis is in here too. Oh my gosh, how cool. Okay, so have we given everybody time to get settled in and relax and stuff, grab their pizza and everything? A little bit about myself, as Russell was telling you, for people that are not aware of who I am, because I'm like way down low. I am not out there. I am not in people's faces. I don't really go doing, all the things that people seem to need to do. And of course, sometimes when you're first getting established, you need to shake some hands, Russell, as you know, and you need to meet other people in the field because, we all work together. We're not working out here by ourselves. We're all together in this. And sadly, in the paranormal community, haunting community, exorcism, deliverance community, everybody's like, it's time to kill the Caesar. It's like, what? Who's the latest Caesar? Why do you got to kill him? Work with him, support him. Lori Clark, she's sicker than a dog. Prayers for you, Lori. She's really sick and she's laying in bed and watching us. We're gonna have to give her something interesting to listen to.
Yeah.
So, I think that when I tell people about who I am and where I've been, it's such a long-winded explanation. I like to just give it little chop bits. And then as we go through the interview, you can ask me some questions and we'll do some interjections and stuff and we'll just bounce all over the place. But I am old. I mean, as everybody knows, you can't be in this business for 40 years and be like, well, I'm 32. No, I'm 61 this year, people. So obviously I've got some road rage hidden in there somewhere, but I don't pull it out very often, Russell. I'm a putty cat. Anyway, I am, as you know, but your audience doesn't know, I am lay, professed Franciscan Third Order in the Catholic Church. Which makes me, instead of just, your person that goes to church, it calls me to, how do we say it? I have, like, I'm a mandatory reporter for children. I have to have a prayer life. That has just been in the last 10 years. Before that, I did pray and everything, Russ, but things were so hectic and crazy. When you start off helping people, with ghosts or with oppressions and stuff like that in high school, yes, please like and share this program. Russell has some very interesting people on. He's always ready to pick anybody's brains. If you have any questions, ask Russell. He's fun. His dad is great too. So
He's watching.
I know. Hi, Dad. If I were to sum up who I am, I would say that I'm a seeker of the truth. Basically, I have to know where something originated, whether it is a mental illness, whether it is a demonic oppression, whether it is a personal choice oppression. And that's not necessarily mentally ill. That's, hey, Anthony, good to see you. That is almost somebody saying, okay, well, I'm depressed, but I'm not going to take my meds. It's just, you can't sit on the phone with somebody, as you and I have talked about, when you do an intake for an investigation, whether it's a haunting investigation, whether it is, one of those that it seems like it's demonic. And then, as you get there and you find out and you're just like, what happened? Why did I drive out here? What are these people doing? They're either abusing their kids or they're abusing drugs. And what you thought was something serious because it was such a bloody emergency, you're like, okay, we'll finish the investigation, but it's obvious there's a bit going on here that you didn't tell me. And that's always the case, isn't it, Russell?
Yep, we deal with that too as well.
And so, through my years of trying to help people, I realized that, because my major was English, my minor was in psychology, I loved figuring out what is it that makes people get up in the morning and have breakfast? What is it that makes them, want to go outside, grab their child's animal and rip its heart out and leave it in the driveway for the kid to see when he's going to school? What is it? What turns off? What turns on? And, it's just, if I have to tell people, your audience, about who I am, I'm one of those people that will dive into the dark and pull you out into the light. I will do everything I can to help you deliver yourself or get you delivered of whatever's oppressing you. That's basically, who I am to this day and what I do. I think that's pretty simple, don't you?
Yeah. That covered it pretty much.
Well, I tried. The only thing I didn't tell you about was all the fun in the woods chasing Bigfoot. And we haven't talked about aliens yet. So
yep.
Let's go.
That could be our next topic.
Heck yeah. Which one? Aliens or the Bigfoot?
Let's talk about Bigfoot first, and then we'll go to the alien.
I love stories about Bigfoot. I really, really, I want Bigfoot to be real. I want to see little baby Big Feet running around. Yes, it does take a toll on my body. Tabitha was asking about, these cases, do they take a toll on my body? Let me tell you something. When people used to come and say, hey, I want to learn about being they want to be a demonologist. They want to be they want to work for an exorcist. They want to do something, Russell, like you and I do. We start out and we do the haunted investigation. They want to put themselves in a position where they want to help people. That's, their heart's desire. However, they may not have a calling for it. And even if they do have a calling, there are certain cases that I'm not going to say it's spirits, but it is spirits. Like, it's not aliens, but it is aliens, that kind of thing. We don't necessarily have to invite this stuff in. By stepping into somebody else's home, their property, interceding and trying to get them help, we're actually putting this big old target on ourselves. And it is, oh gosh, it's like, you might as well just say, okay, here I am, shoot me now. And a lot of those bullets are going to deflect and they're going to go other places. However, a couple of them might get underneath our armor and cause an infection, might cause us to be moody for a week or two. Yeah. And sometimes we really don't realize it until other people are going, well, you finished that case you were working on. Everything's okay. Oh yeah, everything's great. It might be 2 weeks to 2 months later. And as I was telling somebody recently, sometimes, the biggest things that happen to me personally from demonic cases and oppression cases, as I get attacked in weird physical ways. And I've learned over the last 10 years that if something is like buzzing, biting, poking, pinching, I just go, boom, right to the foot of the cross you go. I'm binding it away. That's where it sits. God gets to define it. And you send me the Holy Spirit to replace it because I ain't dealing with this no more. And it happens not in every case, not all the time, but it happens often enough that I've had to learn, if my mind is thinking or feeling something that is not of me, and I'm upset, I'm hyper focused and hyper vigilant on something I'm afraid of, it's not from God, and it's not
Right.
it's not normal for me. So, and sometimes, especially with this accident I was in, Russell, it's been pretty weird. It's been pretty weird on my mind mentally, because I mean, aside from being 61, honey, it's like when I was like 50, I could toss 50-pound bags of stuff over my shoulders and I'd just be going at it, digging holes. And
Mhm.
so it's not just the physical, it's everything in the mental. And as we age, it seems like it's like our mind is even becoming a bigger devil's playground, because we doubt ourselves. We think that, we're not as good as other people. And like we were talking earlier, there's so much competition in this field, whether you start
Yeah.
at 15 or you start at 50 or you start at 25. Sometimes you just don't know, and you find out the hard way who you can trust. And that, in a big sense, Russell, I think is that's part of our growth. That's part of your growth, my growth. God allows us to see these people or these situations that try and destroy us, and every single one of us makes us stronger. Right, Denise? That's ready for a baptism when I see her in Florida, my sweet girl. This stuff that attacks us it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So that's why we have to get strong, and we have to be very solid in our faith, in our core beliefs, in our core of who we know, who we are. And as I was saying before earlier with you and Brandon, we have the ability every day, whether we're at work or whether we're in relationships. That's right, Denise. I've got a baby pool just for you. It'll fit in my truck. And we have all these people giving us feedback about who we are and what we're doing. If we don't honestly step back and assess who we are and what we're doing, we pick up their beliefs, their negative spiritual energy, dark spirits. And that's the biggest thing when we start talking about the demonic, is our mind can be boom, affected, infected, and all of a sudden you're believing like, what? Me? Really?
Yeah.
So yeah, it just it's been a really strange, rough road for me these last 2 years, honestly, Russell. I've had these books that I've been meaning to work on, and I've started a few more chapters, but I haven't. I've really doubted that I could contribute anything, Russell. I really went through kind of like this identity crisis that, yeah, I'm still getting cases. And yeah, I'm still getting cases from Swords of St. Michael. In case if you guys don't know, swordsofstmichael.org online has loads of prayers, loads of great stuff, books, rosaries, prayer beads, saint stuff. If you need something, you can always send me an email through swordsofstmichael.org. That's www.swordsofstmichaels.org. Michael, single. But the point I'm trying to make is that when we go through a crisis, if we don't have strong faith, if we don't have a dedication to some sort of prayer life or some sort of faith, we kind of get lost in the ocean. We just kind of drift around. Me, I've had my faith, Russell, and I've had, good friends like you and Dad, and, and lots of people that support me and care about me. Denise, Rosalie, Dawn, Athena, so many people that have supported me over the years. I know I wouldn't make sense to myself if it wasn't for all of you guys, because without that mirror of saying, you know what? Yeah, you need to keep working on that book. You need to keep talking about what you know, because that's how we learn. Like we were saying, if you're entering the field, we have to learn from others. So now we're going to talk about the big hairy guy, huh? Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Like I said, I would love it. I have the woods. I would love to see some little baby Bigfoots running around so I could leave them Christmas cookies like I used to do the raccoons and stuff. Oh my gosh, my raccoons used to love my Christmas cookies and all kinds of stuff. But hey, we are not in an area. I don't know about you guys up there. Do you guys have Bigfoot sightings up there in northern Missouri?
Our last one was in 1970. We had the Momo monster reporting in Gallatin, Missouri, which is next to us.
Does he stink?
They say he's more like he's a shorter form of Bigfoot with 3 toes, 3 fingers, beady red eye.
Do they have a cast of him? You know, one of those cute little plaster casts?
I haven't seen any. I've asked Carter Burchart a few times on if he's experienced any of them. He's never dealt with any cases involving the Momo.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that one. Like my husband was just saying, whoops, I lost you again. My husband was just saying, we basically have here some sort of, not exactly Bigfoot, because the Bigfoot is usually in the Pacific Northwest, you know, out there, Oregon. That's where I went to high school. And that was the biggest thing, you know, the kids, we grab our cigarettes and whatever and go hide out in the woods, and we, you know, look for Bigfoot tracks. We try and find, and this is, you know, I know you're a hunter like I am. And that's the biggest thing we learned is we learned to hunt scat, you know, droppings of stuff. If you're not a hunter, if you don't know what scat is, it's a specific pile left by an animal that you look at and go, oh, that's a raccoon. Look at all those seeds, you know? Oh, that's a deer. Those cute little brown pebbles. Just in case you guys don't know how to look at little poo-poos in the forest. But could be a fake alien experience. That's a really good idea, Dawn. I mean, Dawn posted this really cool picture. I don't know if you saw it today, Russell, but it was a square image of what looked like not a barcode, but what is that? Those codes you scan. I'm so computer illiterate, but yeah, it was one of those QR codes, and it was supposedly from one of these ancient. And we're segueing. I'm sorry, one of these ancient. I don't know, from the Mayan or just something like that. But anyway, so I looked at it, I'm like, yeah, you know what? We used to hunt Bigfoot by looking at scat, looking at droppings. And, you know, we didn't know if it was bear. We didn't know if he had moose in the area, but we would go chasing off, you know, looking for pieces of hair and stuff. And of course, we were kids and we were stupid. And we were like, oh my God, did you see that? There's something moved in there. We all freak out and go, oh, what? Because, you know, when you're a kid, you're all excited. You're really thinking you're going to discover something. And of course, it was nothing. I mean, I remember the one time that, see, I've got this theory about growing up on these, shall we say, acquired properties, you know, military bases. You know what I'm talking about. They're acquired properties. Most of the time, they are on, shall we say, Native American grounds. And not that that's good or bad, but, you know, sacred ground is sacred ground. And whether people know it or not, there are spirits for every region. There are spirits for every city, you know, evil ones and good ones to guard them. And on some of these places, like where we used to run around, I mean, it was not uncommon for not only, and this is in the Pacific Northwest, there is a nuclear subbase, okay? And there are so many people that disappeared in the woods, disappeared in the oceans and that kind of thing. But 3 of us were out camping one night, and we could have sworn we saw something probably about 7 foot tall, almost 7 foot tall, and just grunting and hairy. And it could have been a wolf leaning up against a tree. But we were so excited. And you know, I want to talk to you about portals later, Anthony. So Russell, don't let me forget to talk about portals. I got to readjust my seat. But anyway, what I was talking about was Bigfoot and how excited we were to think that, you know, we saw Bigfoot. And so, I mean, that really got us through high school thinking, let's go back and let's go back and let's go back. Do I think Bigfoot exists? You know, I haven't been anywhere else to look for Bigfoot, so I wouldn't know. And I'm not one of those people that, you know, want to travel all over looking for a big hairy beast. You know, I like to eat my deer meat and hunt it. You know, I like to raise chickens and butcher them and eat eggs. So chasing a big old hairy guy, you know, I'm married to a happy, nice, handsome, hairy guy. I don't really need to chase him in the woods. If that's, you know, oh my God, exactly. My backyard. My backyard has lots of furry creatures. We don't have, I've got those cameras up, Russell, on these 12 acres. Don't
Mhm.
have cougars yet, but we have everything else. We got fox, raccoon, possums, the neighbor's dogs, the neighbor's cats. Oh my gosh, and, deer beyond measure. So Bigfoot, I really want to reassure people that you don't have to worry about Bigfoot. Bigfoot is like one of those cute little animals you see in the forest. He's going to run the other way. He doesn't want anything to do with you. Period. He's just not interested. He's like, you stink. You're a human. Go away. I wish though we would find some sort of bones. We have so many mysteries on this earth that we may never solve. Like I
Yeah,
love
exactly.
Bermuda Triangle. Have you ever been to Bermuda or any place down there?
No, I haven't. My
It
dad
does.
has.
Okay, it does feel different to fly through that triangle, but nothing happened. Our plane got through successfully. It's kind of like Sedona, Arizona, which I haven't been to yet. I got some friends there, but different areas, like your audience was talking about portals, different areas feel to our body. You know how you can feel a thunderstorm, Russell? You can feel the
Yep,
electricity.
yep,
That's kind of, what the Bermuda Triangle felt like. That's kind of what it felt like as a kid to be watching something big and hairy and grunting. We didn't know what it was. And that could have been adrenaline. We could have been imagining things. Who knows, Russell? We were just stupid kids, we were 16, 17 years
yep.
of age. So I would like, Bigfoot to be real. Do I think it's real? I think, as some people have suggested that there's portals for things to travel through, I know that for a fact. However, knowing that, God loves all these fabulous different creatures, I don't really see, I mean, the platypus doesn't have any reason to exist, but Bigfoot, didn't you think they'd be having a lot of babies? And don't you think they would have colonies from place to place?
Right.
Yeah, so I kind of think I think the idea of Bigfoot is very dramatic and romantic and exciting. I just don't really think I think if anything, I think that we are duped by the demonic on a regular basis. But let's talk about portals. You've done a lot of research and stuff and you've experienced a
Mhm.
couple of these things,
Yep.
and it's like I was telling somebody on a case one time. We walk up to this house, and this woman was a practicing witch, and we didn't know it, because the mother or the grandmother called to help. She's like, "Help, help, help! My kid's like, ah," and we're like, "Oh, sure, we're gonna come help." You walk up to the house, and you could feel as soon as you got out of the car that something was sucking the life out of you. And
Hmm.
in this one house that I investigated that actually did have a portal that did have to be blessed and sealed, it is it's like if somebody jumps on your chest and punches all the air out of you, it's like, and you can't get anything back in. And it's time for exercised holy water, some salt. Hello, let's go, Dawn. I agree with her. I think she's got something going on in her kitchen too. But however, if you don't know what you're walking into, you're not
Yeah,
going to be,
exactly.
yeah, you're not going to be prepared. And a lot of people think, well, I'll just get some blessed salt. I'll just get some salt or get some sage. I wish it were that easy. Because I love, yeah, of course you do, Denise. You know all about portals. It just, a lot of times, as anything else, like lightning strikes the ground, we don't know where it's going to strike. It could strike again. It is a consistent, real thing. Will it strike there again? Probably not. With a portal, a lot of people think that portals are stuck in one place and they always have to be. And that's not necessarily so, because
Mhm.
time is not linear like we think of it. Time is static. All time is happening at once, and it's like a heartbeat. It's all over the place. So when people ask me about portals and everything else, I said, instead of worrying about portals, how about if we clean up our spiritual life and clean up our spiritual area? And we don't want to desire to see them or desire to do anything with them. Call somebody that knows how to deal with them. Your priest, your pastor, somebody, an Indian shaman, somebody that can help you, that's in your faith, in your religion, got your back, and can help you say, oh, okay, I don't want this in my place. I don't need it in my place. It needs to be gone. I think that's the most important thing with portals. Can Bigfoot come through a portal? I do believe, Russell, that because our mind, from our creator, we are infused with that eternal knowledge of God.
Mm-hmm.
When humans were forced to leave Eden, when we were forced to leave the place, we were kind of given, like, do you remember the Men in Black? They do the flashy thing. We were given the flashy thing when we left. It's like, we just don't know what the heck is going on. We don't. And we've been locked out of that knowledge. However, the spirits and angels and demons, which, the only thing difference is one of them is creating chaos and one of them is trying to help us get through this mess. We haven't even seen a tenth of their power and what they can do and how they can make us believe something is shape-shifting, something is entering or coming through a portal. We don't have any idea. And, I wish we had like 2 hours. I could explain to people all about the angelic realms and how they affect us every minute, even as we're talking right now. I think that we need to understand there's so much that we don't really need to know about. However, if we experience something, it's an excellent idea to ask somebody that you trust, and then has wisdom and discernment, not somebody that's just going to say, oh, I just read this book about the geometria and, just draw some numbers and some sigils and it'll be fine. Nah, we don't need to take the advice of somebody that is following popular culture. Big difference between somebody that wants to help you have peace. And I think that when we talk to everybody, Russell, in these cases that we talk about and people we talk to, they want peace. They just want peace. And your guest, I forgot what his name was, just pointed out something that the demons can cause us to forget anything. They can, I've got a couple cases right now where this person that's involved in getting away from somebody that's oppressed has periods where all of a sudden, not losing time like a possession, but all of a sudden they'll forget an appointment, they'll forget a time. And it's like, how did I forget that? I had it written down, it was in my phone and everything else. I'm staring right at it and I forgot it. And I call this the demonic blockage because you can't see it. It doesn't go in your mind. So when you think about a portal and you think about things stepping through that portal, is this live? Is this Memorex? Or is this something messing with your memory and your mind to create a chaos and a dissonance, a disconnect between who you love, who you're with, and your environment? When we don't ask those questions, Russell, a lot of times we end up trusting people that aren't as solid emotionally as we try to be for other people. And I don't mean that, people are fragile, weak, or they're stupid. I'm just saying that sometimes it takes a lot of hard knocks to have some confidence in what you've seen and experienced and sharing it with other people.
Especially like that one we dealt with, she was diagnosed schizophrenic.
Oh.
And she was hearing voices in her head and she
go ahead.
Playing with tarot cards and stuff like that and doing readings for people. And
that's the best way to hear voices. Pull out some tarot cards. Don't invite it is what I'm telling you. Don't do it. I mean, I'm telling you, I've been 21 times in 2 years. Do you lose time? Yeah, I bet. The thing is with hearing voices and that stuff, that doesn't always make you schizophrenic. It makes you sensitive to your subconscious. That makes you sensitive towards your guardian angel. That makes you sensitive to either the demonic or angels. And not everybody that does tarot cards, not everybody that does, those Ouija boards, that doesn't always mean that they're going to be possessed. But yes, that will lead them down the road to ill mental health. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean that, they're going to, end up in a psych ward. I mean that when people think that, if you join a faith or if you're bound by a religion, that, oh my gosh, there's either right or wrong, and you can't do this and you can't do that. There's so many stories that say you've got a disciple, you got an apostle, and he's doing what he's not supposed to do, but he wants to do better, and he keeps trying and trying and trying, and that's all we're supposed to do. We keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep trying to do things better. When I tell people that either you're walking towards our eternal life of happiness, bliss, and peace, because I've drowned twice, I've died twice, or you are walking toward the nothingness of agony of being without. That's what I call sin. And sin in the Spanish language, sin is without. That's without God. So is this a religious thing? Is this, is this a Catholic thing? No, it's a universal truth. Either, you're going to stay focused. Oh, it's Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie. I'm so glad you made it. She's such a sweetheart. She's got such a heart of gold. Oh my gosh, what she suffered. Oh, in the last year and a half, 2 years, Russell. I think Bonnie, but
yeah,
it's just hard. It's so hard when you're trying to think, okay, am I really hearing this? Could I possibly be mentally ill? I know I'm freaking insane. I'm past insane. But do they have a classification for me yet, Russell? No. So I'll just have to keep on knocking on their door. Love you too, Bonnie. Thank you so much. I hope if you have any questions, ask questions. And, I hope you just are enjoying Russell and just relaxing tonight and not thinking about some of the stuff that you've gone through. But we're talking here about the auditory, the visual, the physical sensations that people, if they're schizophrenic, they can't determine, Russell, this is not of me. This is not right. Because they think, oh yeah, that's a voice and it came out of the hall. It must be a ghost. It must be a demon. And that's not necessarily so. So, how do they find somebody? Usually what I see in a lot of cases, it's Satan will, oh, good. I'm glad you're enjoying, Bonnie. People will they'll look to somebody who will give them the answer they want. Remember those cases we talked about a while back? It's like they went to investigators that told them exactly what they wanted to hear. They didn't tell them the truth. They didn't tell them the hard truth. They didn't, I don't know. They didn't want to take the time to try and uplift these people by giving them a different perspective.
right.
There's no other nice way of saying it, Russell. They just, they're letting the people go, basically. Here, fly a kite. And that kind of frosts my last cookie, but everybody does things differently. And as Jesus told his disciples, don't tell them to stop exercising those spirits, because if they're not against us, they're for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, that case is a rough one. And, what a lot of people don't understand when they first get in this field, Russell, there are so many undiagnosed, depressed, schizophrenic, bipolar, narcissistic, and people throw that term around a lot. A lot of us have narcissistic qualities. To be a true Machiavellian or one of these narcissists that is truly embedded in who they are, you can't find it out in a phone call with an hour. Sometimes you can't find it out in a 4-hour investigation. Sometimes it takes multiple. And that's what, drives my investigation. That's what drives my, shall I say, my conclusions for referrals, is that we have to get to the heart of what's really going on. And a lot of times, Russell, how hard that is.
Yeah, it is.
Difficult. It's really difficult. But when we look at how susceptible we are, I was talking to a friend of this the other day that, does some deliverance. We don't even realize just the people that we work with. We're so invested in just our friends, our acquaintances. We're invested in our vehicle. And when something goes out of place, we're flipping people off, we're screaming at people. We lose it instead of going, this is not me. This is something, that is not necessarily a demonic attack, but this is definitely demonic chaos that's coming at me. I don't need to get angry. I don't need to take it out on people I love. I don't need to step out of my comfort zone and just let an epitaph fly.
Right.
Okay. All right. You know what? It's your lane. Have at it. I'm going to go have my chocolate muffin in my coffee and be happy. And simple things like that. People think that, oh, there's no way I lost my temper and that's ruled by demons. Oh, well, maybe it's not. Maybe you're just an angry person. That's a choice. We all have these choices. We have a choice to not listen to this demonic rat trap prattle in our brain, or we have a choice to choose, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this differently. When I was in college, psychologist, PhD, this guy was just brilliant. Said, in determining who we are this very minute, this choice. Hey, Brian, glad you could join us. In determining who we are, what we want, the happiest peace we will ever have is in giving something to the person next to us they don't have and walking away expecting nothing.
Right.
Whether that's a smile, a sandwich, a handshake. People don't look at each other in the eyes anymore, Russell. I mean, they're all sitting there like this on their phones. We don't even acknowledge. That is such a hotbed for demons. And when we go into an investigation, we're trying to help people. They're sitting there playing on their phones, or they're watching TV, or, they got their nose stuck in something. There's no interaction. Leaving your head to be full of crap, excuse me. So you're thinking, well, this person doesn't like me. Well, this person they're going to just not find anything. So they're sitting there listening to these voices that aren't real. Does that make them bipolar? Does that make them depressed? No, it means that they're just susceptible to external claptrap that isn't real. And if they knew the difference, if they had the ability to discern that, then they wouldn't need you. They wouldn't need me. They would be, they would be on the path of peace for their goals, their life, their vocation, their love. And it just, I think we see too much, people in the field, Russell, especially when they want to help people, with deliverance, they want to help people because, it feels good to them. They're doing something. They're absolutely, they're obsessed with, I am going to be a savior. This whole savior complex. This is not necessarily from God or a guardian angel. This whole savior complex, because I know I've had it before. When, we step out of our calling, our vocation, we step out of line and try to do that which we're not called to do. Sometimes, it'll work, but more often than not, we're going to be unsatisfied. We're going to be unhappy. We're not going to really feel fulfilled. And the people that we're trying to help may be more confused than ever. And then, as you know, they're going to call somebody else because they're not hearing the answer they want to get. And we think, oh my gosh, we've done everything we could, especially when you get that call. It's an emergency. It's an emergency. It's tearing me apart right now. It's doing this and it's doing that. No, it's not an emergency. You have the power at any moment, at any time, to stop whatever's going on in your mind, whatever's touching you, whatever's bothering you, whatever's oppressing you. Use the name of Jesus Christ. Make it go away. People, when I tell them that you have more power to exercise and deliver your own house than any pastor, any priest, they're like, if it was that easy, everybody do it. It's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth.
Right. Yep.
I think it is frustrating, and it is, it looks glamorous because everybody, this is the biggest problem. I have exorcists that call me and say, oh yeah, there's a new movie coming out. What do you think this is going to do for phone calls to the church? And I said, expect them to go way up, because they get so excited. They're like, oh yeah, that looks like me. This could have happened to me. Oh yeah, you know what, I had a friend like that. They instantly identify and put themselves right in that person's shoes and think, yeah, I
Right.
saw that
Yeah.
movie. So this has got to be happening to my cousin maybe, and me, and maybe my dad. And it's just not so. It is our nature. It's like glossolalia, it's like pareidola, and you've heard of that. People are looking for images there. We are geared to see faces where they're not even existing. So part of the problem, with haunted investigation and any sort of paranormal endeavor is we have to think, where is the person emotionally and mentally before we can even begin to step in and help them. It's sad to say, Russell, but it's a challenge even for people that are experienced at helping themselves.
Well, yeah, I mean, we dealt with that too. We had a guy that swore he seen Hat Man after we were out there and investigated. About 3 o'clock in the morning, he's texting me a picture of leaves outside his window calling it Hat Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's just a plant you're seeing looking, it's up against your window.
Exactly. But like we were talking about earlier, when people are not, when they're not in a place of peace, when their mind, their adrenaline level, and see, a lot of the cases I'm talking to now, I'm asking them, what does your diet look like? What are you eating? How are you sleeping? When was the last time you had your A15Cs checked? When was the last time you had your blood pressure checked? Our health is so much of a part of what we think, what we believe, that this person probably did see Hat Man in their mind. You know it, Russell, because his mind was twisted to see that. I know. I love pareidiola too. It is comedic, Denise.
So do I. It is funny.
But it's like we can laugh privately, but I would never make fun of somebody.
Yeah.
I would just, because it's hard. I had a case where a mother and son, these people were in their 70s and 80s, and they were seeing people, ghosts, come across this huge, expansive farm lot where cattle were. And what they were seeing is they were seeing the tips of ears of cattle, and they were seeing, white heads of, brown, white heads.
Mhm.
And as they were coming over the hill, but it wasn't people. It looked like people, but there was no spirits coming at them. But they both swore, and they were on a couple different psychotropics. They were on blood pressure. I mean, when you look at the cocktail of medications that people have to try and live with, Russell, how can people think, much less, try and focus and try and live a happy life? These people are just medicated to the hilt. And it's like, I just want to tell the medical community, why? 80 and 90-year-old people don't need this kind of, heavily dosed medication. I understand, if they're violent and they have to be, calmed down, or if somebody has such severe pain. But it really just struck me as, and it's hard. It's hard when you call the person's priest and you say, I've looked, I've checked, I bring a psychologist out with me. I bring, a counselor, life coach out with me. I bring, 2 or 3 people with me, and we're all going our ways, doing our interviews, and we all reach the same conclusion. Pareidiola, there is, dietary and, shall we say, proprietary hormones driving the visions that they're seeing, such as their adrenals are weak from overexcitement. When people live in fight or flight for too long, your adrenals really just suck the life out of you. So you're constantly in that fear. Your brain is in a fear, and they're like, oh, no, I saw it. Well, I believe you saw it, but it was real to you. Right. However, it is not a danger to you. And sometimes when you're trying to explain that, people think, well, you don't believe me. Well, you just think I'm nuts. No, that's not it. I'm trying to say, okay, we need to talk to your doctor. We need to get you healthy. If I cannot get someone to a place of reason, and as you know this as well with many cases we've talked about, we can't explain to people, step 1, to help themselves. Exactly, Athena. And this is the devil's playground. Athena just pointed out fear is debilitating. I mean, that's why people can't even walk out their doors, whether, they've been shot at, they've been raped, they've lost an infant, they've lost a child. That fear just, the minute that we give in to the tears and the aches and the crying, those little freaking demonics from hell are right there in your head saying, no, you're nothing. You can't do that. And they're just jabbering at you. And sometimes, you got to give yourself a flipping mental exorcism. Get that crap out of there. But it's not just, yeah, exactly, Denise. There's lots of things that can cause issues, with your heart and your health. And that's probably one of the reasons I've always suspected I have heart issues is because of some of the stuff I've experienced. And that's, it's just one of those things that when you've been doing what we've been doing so long, our organs are affected. Some people have irritable bowel syndrome. Some people have constant stomach aches, migraines. They can't sleep. And that is not demonic. That's physical. And those are the challenges that we face. But it's so easy to think or say, well, I was in this case. I was involved in this case. Yes, the case may have left us with residue. And what do I mean by residue? It's just like when you go and you step in horse shit and horse poop and you get straw in between the little grooves. I apologize. I'm so sorry. You get straw in there and then you scrape off the horse pucky, but you still got the straw in there. It's still there. And it drags across your carpet and stains your carpet. That's what I mean by residue. Spiritual residue are the minor demonics that see that you have a wound. And these are the wounds that attract the worst demons. I don't care what kind of wound it is. It can be, your mother never liked you when you were a kid. You were molested when you were 14. You have a wound because, your husband beat you or raped you. Or whatever that wound is, that is where that demon is going to come in and try and kick your butt. And that's why if we don't know what's going on with our head, our health, and our heart, we can't stay healthy for those around us. But we can all do what we can only do. I mean, we're not going to, you and I both know, Russell, we're not going to change people's diets. We're not going to change people's attitudes. All we can do is give them what they can handle with what we have. It just, we do the best that we can in any situation.
Brian had a question for you.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Do you think demons are taking over people that are committing evil acts these days?
Brian, don't take it personally, but I'm going to laugh, okay? Do I think demons are taking over people that are already committing evil? No, honey. Those people are running hand in hand with those demons. They're having a blast. Oh, my gosh. I mean, everything from spirit cooking to pedophile rings to, poisoning our pokes. This is not demons taking over. Yes, knowledge. Knowledge is one of the biggest invitations to demonic oppression. People that want more knowledge, people that want to be psychics, people that know it all. Oh, yeah, that's inviting demons in. But to Brian's question, when you look at a serial murder, or you look at somebody that is worshiping one of these demonic goddesses, or that, is acting as if, they know things that you don't know, and you really sense that they're evil. The demons aren't helping them. The demons are working in tandem with them, because the people are already yes, exactly. Like Faust, they're already inviting and connecting with the worst base part of their nature. If their nature turns to evil and sin and all this hatred and malice and evil acts, what do the demons need to mess with them for? The demon's greatest pleasure is to get us humans, to have the personality and act just like them. So if these people are already committing demonic acts, demons aren't helping them. Demons are sitting there going, oh yeah, watch that one. They don't, They're coming after people like you, like me, like Athena, like Dawn, people that are trying to help others, people like Bonnie that had such a love of her family and was like the center rock for all her family. They're trying to remove anything that gave her strength. That is how God allows us to be tried, so we lean on him more. Because we can't do anything without our creator. There's just no way we can. Because we'd be sitting there being the ping pong ball for all these stupid idiotic demons playing in our head.
Right.
That's what we see in a lot of cases. We do. And that is the biggest thing. Demons do want to separate us from our creator, from our God, our love of God, the God that loves us and calls us back. Well, yeah, exactly. Brian, we are living. Okay, I have heard exorcists talk because I work with a number of exorcists here in the U.S. and overseas. And yes, Bonnie, we have to turn to God and know that you are in my prayers every single morning. I pray for you, okay? I just know that because I do my morning prayers. I do my morning offering. There's so many people that need prayer. But back to Brian, when I talk to exorcists, whether it's in Mexico or it's in England or Ireland or Canada, we're seeing the same thing everywhere. People in the highest places, the highest religious orders, and in the Lutheran, the Baptist, the Catholic, we're seeing in every single government, there's such an infiltration of mentally ill, hand in hand people that are embracing everything dark, everything malignant to destroy people, to destroy nations. And most of all, I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but yeah, I can't not. And just literally our most precious asset, our children. And I'm sure some of you have heard about that movie that was released about that man that went to South America to release a bunch of children from a pedophile ring. That's just the tip of the iceberg. People don't realize that I think slavery has been abolished. Muslims in Portugal, Spain, Budapest, Iran, they're still selling. They're still selling men, women, children. Slavery is alive and well. And that's not good night, Dawness. You get some sleep. I love you. I'm praying for you too, sweetie. I know you got some stuff. And hi to Mr. Fingerman too. We have a time right now where anybody can call themselves anything. I can say I identify as a frog and I can mate with a swan tomorrow. The mentally ill are running the insane asylum. So if, like Brian was saying, the devils are having its heyday. We are, Sound of Freedom. That's what it was, Bonnie. I saw it and I was like, wow, they could have been so much more graphic from what I know and I've experienced. Sweet dreams, Rosalie. I know it's late where you are too. Rosalie, she's one of those women that's never going to stop. She's a hard worker. But we're all living through a really strange period in history. When we look at history and how the world has changed since all written history, when Sodom and Gomorrah, you look at Sodom and Gomorrah, you look at times before that, when the world was just becoming civilized and they were starting to basically sacrifice their children, eat their children, and do really weird things with their gender fluidity. They, it was beyond men becoming women, they were becoming beasts and all this other stuff. And they were looking at each other going, well, we can be more and we can do more and we can marry this and we can call this a union and we can give this money. We are living through that now. And what happened was at that time that people went off the wonky board. And I'm not insulting you. If you are listening and you are transgender, you're transsexual, you are curious about, you don't know, I want to pray for you right now and ask God to help you see the right reason of wherever it is you're supposed to be. I'm not insulting anybody. My point is that there is an order. And when people step out of that order, all hell is loosed. And the last time we've had it this bad was a time when we had the Great Flood over there in the main body of Pangea or whatever it was. Maybe Pangea broke up and that's when it was. But that flood destroyed all these people that, like, we have one of the biggest jokers in living history in the United States of America that's claimed that, they were voted in.
Yeah.
We are looking at some really historic stuff, Russ. We're going to look back, 20 years from now and go, whoa, that was wild.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. And people think that, Athena's got a point. She says, people are looking at Baal worship. And I do not like to say names, but that was one of the deities that brought on the flood, was not just the sacrifice of an infant, but they actually ate it. And, this cannibalism and, and what they would do to the infant, some of the written records were just, we're not even going to go there. It's so disgusting. People would literally be vomiting on your show and it would be not good. We're seeing that now. Everybody is literally coming out. I don't know how many movies you watch, Russell. I love movies. I love all
I watch a lot.
But
when I get time.
Yeah, I know. But when you look at the current movies, it's okay, Athena. This needs to be said. But when you look at the current movies, you are seeing every single kind of this, that. I mean, you're seeing every kind of, shall we say, signal to other pedophiles, other Satanists, other practitioners that this movie was financed by people that are running children, people that are selling young girls, people that are peddling flesh, people that are peddling young boys, people that are, running rings that would make, Jeffrey Epstein go, wow. There are bigger and badder people than Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was the tip of the iceberg. That was the tip. And, if people knew how really ugly it was out there, they would just weep themselves to death. And I'm not saying that the world's a bad place. I'm just saying that when we understand that Satan is ruling the earth and we have to find other people like-minded that are trying to walk towards peace and toward God, we got to hang on to him, Russ.
Yeah.
We really do. How are we doing on time there? We doing okay?
We're at our hour mark. We got another show coming on right after me.
Excellent. So then we did good.
Yep.
Wow. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. We blathered it away. All right. we didn't hit on any good topics like exorcism and deliverance, but hey, maybe another time. Who knows? We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll have you back on again. We'll do a part 2.
Sounds like a plan. And maybe hopefully I can get up there, and I'm wanting to go to see a concert in Kansas, so maybe I can get up there and see you and Dad too.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I just
you're welcome.
It's so
Thank
good
you for
to
on.
Connect with friends. Don't forget, you guys, if you want more information about who I am and what I do, I am on YouTube under Swords of St. Michael. There's lots of informational deliverance videos, healing prayers, programs, anything you might need. And if you need, some prayer beads or something pretty to take to bed and sleep with, like your Bible and your prayer beads, go to my Etsy page at prayersbythebead.com. Or if you want to look at some of the books I wrote with Ken, some of the books on Catholic Christian demonology, go to swordsofstmichael.org. I do still have some here. If, you contact Russ or hit me up, I will sign them for you. And I've also got some Swords of St. Michael t-shirts. I'm going to do some giveaways when I get back into doing shows, Russ. Finally. I'm so glad you
we're waiting for you to come back.
I am
we miss you in your
glad.
kids.
Thank you so much. And give Dad a big hug for me, okay?
I will.
Sweet. Thank you, Denise, Lori, Athena. It's so fun to have Adonis. It's like so cool to have the old gang. And Bonnie, you are such a trooper. You're such a strong woman. God love you.
I will, Thanks, Brian. I'll bring you back on. We'll do a part 2, definitely. Yeah.
All right, you guys. God bless you. Keep you. And don't forget, kiddies, let's say our prayers before we go to bed and thank our guardian angel for watching over us.
Thank you again, Farrah, and thanks everybody for joining me. We'll see you next week.